Welcome to Chatterbox Podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Jessica. All right, so let's take a deep dive into this year's Oscars.
Yeah.
You sent over a bunch of articles about the 97th Academy Awards. And wow, it seems like it was a pretty wild event. We've got those unexpected wins.
Right.
The LA wildfires kind of looming over everything.
Yeah.
And of course, Conan O'Brien, trying to hold it all together.
Oh, yeah. He definitely had his work cut out for him this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with Honora. The indie film that just swept the awards. It snagged 5 wins.
Wow.
Best Picture, Best Director for Sean Baker.
Okay.
Best Actress, which went to Mikey Madison.
Oh, wow.
Best Original Screenplay.
Okay.
And Best Editing.
That's quite a clean sweep.
It is a pretty impressive feat.
Yeah, for sure. And Mikey Madison beating out Demi Moore.
Oh, yeah.
That definitely got people talking.
It was a big surprise, for sure.
But, this whole clean sweep for Honora, it feels like it's kind of reignited this debate
Absolutely.
about whether the Academy is maybe a little too obsessed with indie films.
Yeah. There's this argument that by focusing so much on smaller movies, they might be overshadowing other deserving films.
Yeah.
The articles you sent over actually point out that this year, a few big budget films with really strong reviews got completely shut out.
So are they trying to be like, too cool for school?
Right.
Or are they actually genuinely trying to highlight diverse storytelling?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
What I found really interesting is that some critics are using Honora's success to argue that the Academy has this blind spot when it comes to international films.
You're talking about Emilia Perez.
Exactly.
That Spanish language musical.
Yeah, the one that got a record-breaking 13 nominations.
Right. I mean, everyone thought it was going to be the biggest winner of the night.
Oh, for sure.
But then plot twist, it only took home 1 award.
Just the one.
For Zoe Saldana's supporting role.
Yeah, it's interesting because Emilia Perez was such a huge critical success. It got praised for its blend of musical styles and that stunning cinematography.
But the lack of major awards has some people wondering if the Academy truly values non-English films the same way they value English language films.
I think that's a valid question.
Yeah, it's almost like there are these two camps emerging, right?
Right.
You've got those who are like cheering for the Academy for recognizing this powerful indie film like Honora, and then you've got those who think that a film like Emilia Perez should have gotten way more recognition. Because
it was pushing boundaries.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a fascinating debate for sure.
It really is. And it's not just limited to international films either.
Oh, that's true.
Adrien Brody's Best Actor win for The Brutalist.
Oh, yeah, that's another interesting one.
That's another interesting case. It's,
that classic Hollywood comeback story.
Yeah.
But the film itself.
The film itself didn't really get much recognition.
No, not beyond Brody's win.
And it's about brutalist architecture.
Right. Not exactly a crowd pleaser.
Not exactly a box office smash hit.
No, not really.
So this brings us to another point that I saw pop up in several articles. Is the Academy's taste actually in sync with how cinema is evolving?
Yeah. I mean, Brody's win might suggest that they still kind of prefer those traditional narratives and performances.
So maybe that could explain why Emilia Perez, with its visuals and music, didn't resonate as strongly.
Yeah, possibly.
Okay, so we've got this tension between recognizing smaller indie films and acknowledging these more experimental, maybe international works.
Right.
But this was also the year of the LA wildfires, right?
Oh, yeah. It was a tough time for the city.
So did those have any impact on the actual ceremony?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The wildfires definitely cast a somber shadow over the event.
Right.
And then there's the whole controversy about them canceling all the live performances. For the Best Original Song nominees.
Because of safety concerns?
Yeah, they cited safety concerns.
I can imagine that didn't go over well with the musicians.
Oh, no, not at all.
Not at all.
Diane Warren, who was actually nominated for The Journey.
From the 688?
Yeah, she publicly criticized the Academy, saying they were disrespecting the artists.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, imagine being nominated for an Oscar. And not even getting to perform your song.
It's a huge honor to perform at the Oscars.
Right.
That must have been so frustrating for them.
Absolutely. And, it kind of raises this bigger question.
What's that?
Is the Academy putting tradition above recognizing all the different aspects of filmmaking?
Yeah. I mean, music is such a crucial part of the cinematic experience.
For sure.
So to just cut it out completely feels like a bit of an oversight.
Yeah, it does. So this brings us to the guy who had to navigate all of this.
Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien. What did the articles say about his performance? Was he able to strike that balance?
It's a tough job, for sure.
Right, between acknowledging the serious stuff and keeping the show entertaining.
Yeah. It's a tricky balance.
Right.
Well, the reviews were actually pretty mixed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some people praised his ability to weave in humor while still acknowledging the wildfires and the music performance controversy.
But others felt like he missed the mark.
Yeah, there were definitely some who felt that way.
Okay.
Some thought his jokes were inappropriate.
Yeah.
Given the circumstances.
Given everything going on.
And then others thought he just lacked the gravitas
that
you need for such a big event.
So it sounds like he had a really tough job.
Yeah. I can't imagine being in his shoes.
Especially with a tribute to Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
That must have been quite emotional.
Oh, it was a beautiful tribute.
Yeah.
Really highlighted his incredible career.
Did the articles go into any detail about what they highlighted from his career?
They mentioned the clip that they played from The French Connection.
Of course.
Which was his breakthrough role.
Right.
And they also talked about his performances in films like Unforgiven, where he won his second Oscar.
Right.
And The Royal Tenenbaums.
Okay.
Which really showed off his comedic timing.
Oh, yeah. Those are some of his most memorable roles, for sure.
Definitely.
What else stood out to you from the articles about the ceremony?
Well, there was a lot of discussion about the fashion choices.
Oh, yeah. The fashion. Did any of the articles mention if the wildfires had any impact?
You know what? You're right. Several of the articles did mention a noticeable shift on the red carpet.
Really?
Yeah, towards more understated looks.
Huh, interesting.
Muted colors, simpler silhouettes, almost a sense of, like, somber elegance.
Wow. It's fascinating how something like fashion can kind of reflect a broader cultural mood.
Right. It's not like you usually think of the Oscars red carpet as being a place for subtlety.
No, not really.
But it's like the stars were kind of acknowledging the serious situation in L.A., but still, you know, celebrating cinematic achievement.
It's a delicate balance.
It really is. Speaking of delicate balances, one article described this really interesting moment between Sean Baker, the director of Anora, and the director of Emilia Perez.
I don't remember reading about that.
Oh, it's just a small detail.
Okay.
But as the Anora team was going up to accept the Best Picture award, Baker apparently shared this quick, almost apologetic look with the director of Emilia Perez.
Really?
Yeah, it was this tiny gesture. Easily missed, but so telling.
That is a really insightful observation.
Isn't it?
Yeah, even in their moment of victory.
Yeah.
There's this awareness of the bigger picture and acknowledgement that someone else is feeling a loss.
Yeah. It's a reminder that these awards ceremonies are about so much more than just the awards themselves. There's this whole tapestry of human emotions and experiences.
Right,
kind of woven into the fabric of the event.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of emotions.
Oh, yes.
Adrian Brody's acceptance speech.
Okay.
That was a talking point.
Oh, he always brings the drama, doesn't he?
He does. What did you focus on this time?
Well, he talked about the sacrifices artists make to pursue their craft.
Okay.
He connected his character's dedication in The Brutalist with the real-life struggles that people in the film industry face.
That's classic Brody.
Yeah.
Finding that deeper meaning and connection.
Always.
I did see some criticism online, though.
Oh, really?
That his speech was a little self-indulgent.
Yeah, some people felt like he went a bit overboard.
Yeah.
But others found it inspiring.
Okay.
Like a testament to the power of passion and perseverance.
Yeah, I can see both sides.
It definitely sparked a conversation about what makes good art.
And how we value different artistic expressions. Which ties back into the whole role of the Oscars themselves, right?
It does.
Are they just about recognizing individual achievements? Or do they have a responsibility to reflect these larger social and cultural values?
That's a question that's been debated for years.
Yeah, it really has. But getting back to Brody for a second.
Okay.
It's interesting that some critics are saying his win wasn't really a comeback.
Oh, really?
Like they're suggesting his career never really went away.
Huh. What do you think about that?
I think it's a good point.
Yeah.
He's consistently worked on these interesting projects. Even if they haven't all been, you know, huge mainstream hits.
Right.
So maybe this win is more about the Academy finally acknowledging his dedication to his craft.
Rather than a return to the spotlight.
Exactly.
That's a really fascinating perspective.
It challenges that whole narrative.
It does.
The comeback kid.
Right.
It makes you think about how we even define success in Hollywood. And speaking of defining success, the in memoriam segment.
Oh, yeah.
That always prompts reflection.
It does.
What did the articles have to say about this year's tribute?
Well, this year it felt particularly poignant.
Okay.
Given the context of the wildfires and just the overall feeling of uncertainty seemed to permeate the ceremony.
Yeah.
It was like a reminder of the fragility of life.
Wow.
And the enduring power of art.
Did they mention anything specific about the tribute to Gene Hackman?
They did. Several articles talked about how moving it was to see that clip from the French Connection.
Yeah.
It really highlighted his raw talent and charisma.
It's amazing how these iconic figures continue to shape the conversation about cinema.
I know, even after they're gone.
Right.
Their legacy lives on.
Yeah.
Not just in their films, but in the way they inspire new generations of filmmakers.
It makes you wonder which of today's stars will be remembered decades from now.
That is a great question.
And for what?
Right. What will their legacy be?
That is a fascinating question.
It is.
But before we get too lost in the future, there's one more aspect of the ceremony we haven't talked about yet.
You're talking about the Academy acknowledging the LA community's resilience.
Yeah.
In the face of the wildfires.
Exactly. It was a small moment, but it felt significant.
It did. It really highlighted the real-world context of the event.
Right.
The fact that this celebration of film was happening while just miles away, people were dealing with the devastating effects of these fires.
It must have been such a strange experience for those attending the ceremony.
It must have been.
Trying to reconcile the glamour of the Oscars with the harsh realities happening outside the Dolby Theater.
It speaks to the complex relationship between art and reality.
For sure.
How even in moments of celebration, we can't completely escape the weight of real-world events.
Yeah, and how the Oscars, for all the glitz and glamour, ultimately serve as a reflection of the times we live in.
Absolutely.
Both the good and the bad.
The good, the bad, and everything in between.
But you know enough about the serious stuff.
Okay.
Were there any, like, fun, quirky moments from the ceremony that the articles mentioned?
Let me think.
Anything that caught your eye?
Well, one detail that stood out to me was an article that mentioned the unusual amount of applause for the Best Editing nominees.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't just polite clapping either. It sounded genuinely enthusiastic.
That's interesting. You know, that actually kind of ties in with one of the bigger themes that I noticed in a lot of these articles.
What's that?
This, like, renewed appreciation for the actual craft of filmmaking.
Right, like beyond just the performances and the big picture stuff.
It felt like there was a real focus on those technical skills that actually go into making a movie.
Absolutely.
It wasn't just about, you know, which film was the most moving or thought-provoking. People were also talking about, like, the innovative editing in Anora or the amazing camera work in Amelia Perez.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel like might have gotten lost in the past with all the focus on the stars and the red carpet.
For sure.
But this year, it seemed like there was a conscious effort to really shine a light on those often unsung heroes behind the scenes.
Yeah, like the editors, the cinematographers.
Exactly. The sound designers.
All those people who make it happen.
Yeah, all the people we don't always think about.
Right, but who are so essential.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's a sign that the industry's maturing a bit, moving beyond those superficial aspects of filmmaking.
Right.
And starting to really appreciate the artistry that goes into every frame.
That's a really nice way to put it.
And, you know, it connects back to our conversation earlier about the Academy's evolving taste.
Yeah.
Maybe this shift towards recognizing technical achievements is a sign that they're becoming more open to a wider range of styles and approaches.
I hope so.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the 2025 Oscars, what do you think is the most significant takeaway for you?
That's a good question.
What's the one thing that will stick with you?
I think for me, it's the sense that the Oscars are at a crossroads.
Okay.
They're grappling with these questions about representation, inclusivity, and what actually defines cinematic excellence
in
in a world that's changing so rapidly.
Yeah.
The wins for Anora, the snub for Amelia Perez, the debates about Brody's comeback.
Yeah.
They all point to these larger conversations that are happening within the industry and society as a whole.
It's not just about who takes home the awards.
Exactly.
It's about what those wins and losses tell us about the state of filmmaking and the values we prioritize.
And I think the impact of these events goes way beyond Hollywood. The Oscars have this power to shape cultural narratives.
For sure.
To influence the stories we tell and how we see the world.
So it's crucial that they reflect the diversity and complexity of our lived experiences.
Absolutely.
It sounds like you're saying the Oscars need to be more than just an awards show.
Yeah, I think so.
They need to be like a catalyst for meaningful change.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Well said.
Thank you.
So there you have it, folks.
The 2025 Oscars.
A whirlwind of emotions.
Triumphs and thought-provoking moments.
It's clear that this year's ceremony was about more than just golden statues.
It really was.
It forced us to confront these complex questions about representation, artistic merit, and the role of the Academy in shaping the future of film.
And it'll be interesting to see how these conversations continue to evolve.
Yeah, in the years to come.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes these deep dives so fascinating.
I know. It's so fun to go beyond the headlines.
Right, and really dig into the nuances and complexities of these cultural events.
We've only scratched the surface here.
I know, right?
There's so much more to explore, to analyze, to debate.
And that's the beauty of it.
It really is.
It's an ongoing conversation.
Yeah.
This continuous exploration of the power and potential of cinema.
Well said.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
That's good.
Hopefully this gave you some new insights into the 2025 Oscars.
Yeah.
And sparked some thoughts of your own.
I hope so.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a topic that's caught your attention.
Sounds great.
Until then, keep exploring.
And keep asking questions.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.